A quick update before we start. Recently, my PC has been granted a new lease of life. It has broken the shackles of the old reliable GTX series and propelled far into the distant future of serious RTX gaming. 1080p has never looked this good.
Looks pretty good.
So obviously, the first video I'm making with this new card is about GeoGuessr. You know, only the video I said I was making back in February on my Discord server. Thankfully, I'm back feeling spry. Feeling petite. We all know what GeoGuessr is. We've seen the memes.
This is the same rock that was on that one island.
I mean, Rainbolt has been circulating in the meme economy for quite some time now. Some people say he's washed, but me, I think we've seen nothing yet. You are dropped into Google Street View in a random location, and you have to try and figure out where in the world you are. A very simple, but fun premise. Fun enough to actually make me want to drop a subscription fee to give it a go myself. Yeah, that's been a thing for a while now. Honestly, I could do a lot worse in a month for $2.39, and it does cost them to use the Google API to use Street View, so it is what it is. And just while we're here, that basic plan is just such a rotten deal. Like, please don't buy that one, just go for unlimited. I don't know why it's even an option, to be honest. Because for the past few months or so, on and off, in between frequent trips to Night City and 15th century Bohemia, I have also become addicted to the crack that is getting that sweet 5k pop up on my screen.
This is it. This has to be it. Oh, let's go!
Most people will be familiar with the basics of how the single-player experience works. It's essentially unchanged since GeoGuessr first launched back in 2013. Yeah, it's been around for 12 years. However, one of the newer additions that is worth mentioning is the campaign mode. If you're a complete beginner, this is a good place to start. It starts you off with the types of locations that should be easy enough to pinpoint within a couple hundred meters. At least with a European education. Like, what a mysterious location this is. As you progress, it will start to feed you some more difficult locations here and there. But even with these, it's never really hard to figure out at least what country you're in, if not the city. The true single-player GeoGuessr experience is found in the classic and community maps. Now this is the GeoGuessr we all know. Shit out into bumfuck middle of nowhere with no civilization in sight. The difference between classic and community maps is pretty simple. GeoGuessr drops you into one of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of hand-picked locations. In classic maps, these were picked by the devs. In community maps, they were created and selected by players. The latter is generally a lot more fun because of all of the potential variety it offers. I like to warm up with a pinpointable world, because it's exactly what you think it is. Every spawn offers just enough information to be able to more or less pinpoint your exact location in the no-move mode. If you're a complete savage, you can try out the Rainbolt world, which is exactly what you might expect it to be if you've seen his content.
Yeah, you know, these are Moroccan trees. Trust me, bro.
Hell, I've even found a map for the city I live in, where the population isn't even that high, all things considered. No, it's a little early for me to dox myself just yet. The community world map is often considered to be a better alternative to the classic world map because it has a good mix of both urban and rural locations. I think that because of all of this, most people tend to just stick to community maps as opposed to classic. The only time I go to classic is to brush up on my Europe knowledge, which seems to be my strongest region. Because the memes are true. We are the most racist continent. I do resort to racially profiling people on the street if it's the difference between an L and a dub in competitive. And you will as well when the pressure of that clock kicks in.
Trump 2020. Or say by guns.
What? Didn't know there's a competitive mode? You've been living under a rock. GeoGuessr is a certified esport now. And it works! It's actually like fun to watch, like how the hell did they manage? And that's really where I found myself more recently, as the competitive mode is surprisingly addictive. Hub's the type of guy whose neurons start firing whenever numbers in video games go up, so the fact that they have a whole ELO system in place is genius, really. Hook, line, and sinker. What can I say? Ya got me. I got the skin. The rules for competitive are dead easy. Both players or teams start the game with a full health bar of 6,000 points. The closer you get to the pinpoint location, the more points you score. and then the lower score is deducted from the higher score in a round, and the difference gets applied as damage to the loser. It's actually funny that, even in a game as basic as GeoGuessr, you will actually start to recognize these different playstyles as you come across opponents from around the world. Same as with any other competitive game. I have personally clocked 3 of these that I will be more than happy to share with you now. First up, we have the Geo Gunslinger. This Western Trailblazer archetype will jump in a new round and wait no more than 10 seconds before shitting out a guess. Often, this is a guess placed randomly within the likely country with little to no more thought behind it. You might be in the middle of a large metropolitan city, and they will slap that bitch right into a nature reserve. Make no mistake, this is a power move. The intention is to make you panic. This can be a good tactic if you find yourself playing against some very inexperienced players. However, if up against someone who even slightly knows what they are doing, this strategy can very easily prove to be your undoing. For this reason, the Geo Gunslingers of the world will most often be condemned to silver status or lower. The big leagues called, and they refused to answer. The second archetype, on the other hand, may be considered the polar opposite of the gunslinger. The wise, calculated Sun Tzu player. Art of the pinpoint. This type of player prefers to take his time, never being the first person to lock in a guess. They work with all of the time you're willing to give them, using it efficiently to pinpoint the exact location on the map, while you are still stuck double-checking if you're even on the right continent. Coming across the Sun Tzu in the wild may tempt you into the ways of the gunslinger, in a futile attempt to starve him of the time he needs to make his decisions. But you mustn't stray too far in this direction if you do not know what you are doing, lest you be knocked out in a single round.
Fuck. Wow.
The third playstyle sits somewhere in the middle, balanced, as all things should be. The Yusuf Diket. Yeah, I kinda started running out of ideas for these. If these players happen to stumble upon a very obvious clue as to the rough area, they're not going to wait around and give their opponents the time to find it for themselves. However, they're also not afraid to take their time if nothing jumps out at them. If they find themselves having good meta-knowledge, they will be a force to be reckoned with. Bonus meme. German players never wave back at me at the start of a match. It's serious business for them. Yes, because as with all things competitive on the internet, GeoGuessr players have come up with many different meta strategies that help them figure out where the hell they are in seconds. Some of these are fairly intuitive and not exactly that unreasonable. It helps to know what different languages look like, for example. The direction of the sun will likely tell you which side of the equator you are on. That's like a 50% discount on the amount of countries it could be. License plates are a good way to limit your options too. If you see a blue blur on the left side, guess what? You're in the EU. And if the front plates are super narrow on top of that, you're in Italy, baby. Grab yourself a slice and try not to get robbed. And that's all well and good, you know. Makes sense. So why don't we step it up a notch? Do you like memorizing bollards? It's all the rage right now. All the top players are doing it. They'll see this black reflector and know instantly that that is an easy Austria pick. But screw bollards, who likes that shit anyway? Just an obstacle on my way to that liquor store. Fuck me. Maybe utility poles are more to your tastes. Only ones I've managed to remember are the Mexican octagons and these ones found in Poland. And mind you, we're only talking shafts. There are fuckers out there that can recognize the cable configurations, the fuse boxes, fucking how they look when they're up my ass. Some roads out there happen to be particularly recognizable, like this one over here. These stripes are very common in Sweden, though they might catch you out with the odd Norway or Finland as well. So now you might be thinking, okay, that's a lot of things to remember, but at least you're taking in the sights, you know? Sure, we might be climbing up the spectrum just a little bit, but those are at least things that you can go and see in person. Except, it gets worse. You see, Street View coverage has been done by many different camera generations throughout the years. Gen 1 coverage looks like shit, whereas Gen 4 is the newest and looks particularly vibrant. There are people out there who remember which countries were covered by which generation of camera. Not to mention, coverage across the world was taken at different times of the year. Spring, summer, autumn, or winter. That is, in fact, a clue. And that's still not as crazy as it gets. Ladies and gentlemen, you can often tell what country you are in by using the Google Streetcar meta. Because sometimes, you can just about cop a feel of the Google car if you pan the camera down. This can be as much as the entire uncensored top view of the car, to some lights or mirrors poking out from beneath the blur, to a fucking radio antenna just barely sticking out in view. This one is in Russia. Confused? How could you be? You even get a little bit of taillight because you're such a good boy. And yet, I have saved the best for last. A very specific trick for a very specific country. Behold, the Senegal gradient.
It's the Senegal gradient, bro. No, like...
Having said all that, it's really not that deep. I mean, yeah, if you're thinking of making it to the GeoGuessr esports next year, you're gonna have to do some homework. But for casual play, or some competitive here and there, not only will knowing at least a couple of tricks put you ahead in the early ranks, but a lot of this stuff you also just start to notice as you play. But be warned. It does get addicting. You'll learn a little trick here and there, and once you start to feel that dopamine hitting after being able to consistently get over 20k on a map in single player, you will hunger for more. Before you know it, you will be watching Zigzag and Rainbolt on your breaks at work, picking up on more strategies as well as some excellent memes. I mean, how are you not going to click on a video titled, "I am not washed"? And then when you decide to play against your friends and inevitably shit all over them, you'll get called things like autistic and spurg for knowing where you are. And that's okay, sanity, because you know what you have that they severely lack? Knowledge.
Alright, let's get to work. Big nose, no Jufro, Italian. Starting off strong.
I want you to subscribe to me
Scav Merchant Hub.
on YouTube. Thank you, cringe. Fuck.